Anytime the Lord demands for revival is because there is a need for a reawakening. And I want you to know that revival is not a program. Revival is not even a word that we say. Revival in itself is a partnership, it's a participation. Revival itself is what is referred to as resurrection. When a man is dead and he needs to resurrect, what he experienced in resurrection is what is referred to as a revival. So the reason why there has to be a revival is because certain people are dead. And they may not be dead physically, but they are dead spiritually. There is an adumbration, a deviation from the pattern upon which God has established. And just because we call a program revival doesn't mean that we can actualize the reality of the revival. There has to be a consciousness upon the heart of men to come into an experience so that they can be able to walk with God to achieve the context of it. Because the goal of the revival is not a program in itself. The goal of the revival is the activation for men to come into the reality. So even if we don't have a program and men are woken onto the consciousness of Christ in their territory, revival has happened. So even if somebody did not come into this chapel at this point and is in his hostel, and he may be with a lady in the hostel, like the drama unit said, the first drama unit, right? They said a guy said he was in the hostel. Revival was going on here, and he was in the hostel, and he missed the revival. And the most painful part was that he said he was upon a damsel. So the gods are wise, and they knew that far beyond him missing a program, there has been an exchange of ordination. Because what he lost was not that he missed a program. What he lost was what a program may never give him. So, but if he is not in the program and he's in his hostel, and he understands the verve in his spirit and is able to transport beyond that realm, it's possible for him to touch the reality of revival, and we that may be present in this program and never touch it. So I'm trying to let you understand that it's possible for someone that has not even come to this program to be in his hostel and hear the sound of the clarion call for a reawakening, and you that you are here, you may hear nothing. So you must be able to understand that when God positions you, it's so that you can be able to perceive. Because it's possible to be a part of a generation that God is working with, and you will never advance with them. Never. So don't think that just because you are part of a program, you are part of a conference, you partake of the reality of it. Is a lie. I have known a long time ago that programs don't change men. It's only an encounter with God that changes men. You can never count the amount of the numbers of programs you have ever attended, but you can count the number of encounters you have ever had. While I began journeying God, there is no place I did not go to. Even fake place, I went there. Tried to. They told me it's fake. I said, let me just go and see for myself. So, as you are advancing, the desire, the passion in you will make, if it is program, you will attend so many. But after a while, you will now begin to measure your life by the quality of your encounters. Because those are the things that define your ordination and give you direction. So you must be able to understand that if you find yourself within a program such as this, it's not about MTN. It's not even about the sound of the revival. It's about your ordination and your calling in God. And if you cannot hear the sound proceeding from heaven, after the program is over, you will return back the same thing. And that's the greatest challenge. So I want your heart to be open, so that beyond what I'm saying, beyond what I'm trying to communicate, you should be able to hear a sound beyond me that can be able to guide your life aright. Go with me to the book of Matthew. The book of Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24 from 12. Matthew 24 from 12. Matthew 24 from 12. Media, are we there? The Bible says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Advance. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Let me return to my own. Okay. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached into all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. I had an encounter with the Lord, and he told me, Philip Cephas, there is a need to raise an uproar for revival. When you begin to see increase in the activity of Christianity, it's not to grow a church. When you begin to see men coming into the kingdom, sir, it's not to fill the chapel with an overflow. When you begin to see many people get born again, it's not so that one person can have a name. It's because God is looking for a way to bring an end to the entirety of creation. Revival, the goal of revival is to bring men unto God, so that God can bring an end to creation. From the very beginning, creation began in obedience to God. Disobedience crept into creation because of the mistake of Adam. But the intention of God was not that Adam remain in rebellion. Why? Iniquity abound, and because iniquity abound, the love of many for God was cold. It was not a plan of God that the love of people should was cold. What God wanted was that he created people that should love him unconditionally, as he loved them unconditionally, to the intent that from the bounties of that love, he can transfer his possibility to them, so that they can become carriers of him. God did not transfer himself to you because you prayed. He didn't even transfer himself to you because you fasted. He transferred himself to you because he loved you. And because God loves you, he is transferring himself to you so that you can also become a carrier of who he is. God does not just exist in a confines of power. God does not just exist in a confines where men know a thing. He exists upon a place where he is Lord and God of all. And in the place where God is Lord of all, is a place where men love him. The revival is of prayer, is of knowledge. But there is something that will keep men in the days of revival, is their love for God. Everyone that has ever died spiritually, once upon a time prayed, once upon a time was wise, but there is something that happened to their love for God. They wake up one day, they cannot understand why their love for God begin to wax cold. The Bible says because iniquity abounds in their heart. And one of the greatest traps of the enemy is to bring us to a point where we are laden with all kinds of iniquity. The word iniquity there is actually the infirmities of men. How a man can journey to a point where there are all kinds of complications in his life that has the ability to make him look upon God and say God is nothing. How all of a sudden a fiery preacher wake up one day and say God is not real. How all of a sudden a prayer coordinator wake up one day, prayer become a challenge. How all of a sudden a sister in the fellowship that we knew that she was the one that we used to hold our hands to pray, wake up and she cannot pray again. The answer is nothing. Because iniquity abound, her love for God was cold. And when her love for God was cold, God cannot be transcribed into her DNA. One of the greatest things we must guard in the days of revival, beyond our prayer life, beyond our wisdom in knowledge in God, is our genuine love for God. Because when that genuine love for God begins to die, by default, you bring yourself out of the confines of God and you believe that God does not exist. One of the things that made that lady begin to doubt, that want to now begin to chill with the big boys, was nothing. She was doubting her love for God. She has attended fellowship. She has attended Nifes. She has attended all the fellowship according to her. But the time came, she cannot understand how a God that claimed to love her suddenly allowed her to fail. And now because she felt that she had carryovers, 4 carryovers, she looked for solution and found love in a place where it's not supposed. may you not find love in the wrong place. You see, all those people that come to tell you they love you and you think they do is a very big fat lie. See, you can never have a person that loves you more than the one that can point you to Jesus. You can never have a better friend like the one that will point you to Jesus. Anybody telling you they love you and they can't point you to Jesus is a trap in disguise. There are only two kingdoms on the earth: the kingdom of light and the kingdom of darkness. Nobody is your enemy. You see, there is so much unity in the kingdom of darkness that they work together to fulfill an agenda. In the kingdom of light, we divide ourselves so bad and we think we are doing God a favor. When the devil is advancing and everybody come and they begin to talk against the lady, only one man will come and say, can we pray for the revival? Why? In the days your neighbor begin to backslide, they don't need to talk about them, they need to pray for them. Yes, he's no longer praying. He's no longer praying. What are you doing about their lives? Do you know you are supposed to be responsible for them? Many of you, God has put you upon this campus to be mentors to others, but you can't even guard yourself, talk less of others. There are some of you that people came and they met you, they begged you, teach me to pray, help me, guide me in these spiritual matters. You cannot be consistent in helping them, and now they backslide and you are blaming them. In the days that men fail, it is left to us to weep and cry, because their failure is our disadvantage. When a man backslide, do you think God is happy? It's the devil that is happy. There is no kingdom of light that get happy at the fall of anyone. While we were on campus, there were many people that we trained. I know many of them that after result came out, after every result, somebody must backslide. Check fellowship and see. After every semester result, somebody will be offended by God and feel that just because God did not give him certain kind of GP, God does not love him. But the love that God has for you has nothing to do with whether money is in your bank account, whether you have a house, whether you have a car, whether you have a girlfriend, whether you have a GP. It doesn't matter, because God does not necessarily need those things to make you who you are. But the devil will come to present to you a lie, as he appeared unto them in the Garden of Eden and begin to let them know how that what God told them was a lie. How comes? His plan was to sow iniquity into their heart, so that their love for God can wax cold. What makes them access God and fellowship with him was because they love him. It's not because they want to build a prayer life. It's not even because they want to build wisdom. See, teach people how to pray and don't teach them how they should love God. They will wake up one day and become the most proud and arrogant people, and the time will come, what they are looking for, they will never get it. Teach people the way of knowledge and see them argue on Facebook every day, and yet again they are carnal people. When a man does not understand the love of God, a day he can make one mistake and kill himself. I have seen believer, I have seen somebody that only by mistake watch pornography and wake up and say it's not possible, he wants to kill himself. When you don't understand the economy of the love of God, you can't access the grace of God. The first requirement for you to walk with God is not your prayer life, neither even your wisdom and knowledge. It's because you understand there is a love that brought you to an inner chamber. Whether you like it or not, all of us began from iniquity into righteousness, and we are sustained by the economy of the love of God. That love of God that you see is not a criteria for you to live anyhow, but it has the ability to compel you back to God. How can you come to a God that does not love you? Do you know that if you don't truly love me, there are things I can't commit to you? I can't be trust. I cannot trust. There are many people that you felt they are backslided, but let me tell you, they can no longer find love in the fellowship. The brotherhood are fighting them, the sisterhood are fighting them, the fatherhood, the motherhood, all the hood are fighting them. When they come close to everybody is their enemy. There are people here, you may be sitting together, but I'm telling you the truth, if they allow you now, you will slap each other. Then if you come to that point, why will you not go to the club where men are drinking and they are smoking, and yet again they love each other? How many of us here, if your brother need 10 naira and you have 15 naira, you give him 10 naira? How many of us here, with all the tongues and all the knowledge we claim to have, you will want to maintain your roommate next semester? Because why we need revival is because the love of many has waxed cold, not because their prayer life has gone down. There are people that their prayer life is stable. In fact, they are changing syllables in tongues but they are the most carnal people you can ever encounter. Revival is holistic. It's not only knowledge or prayer life. No, your character, your genuinity of the love of God can make you shut down your tongues. How many of us still speak in tongues and we are thieves and armed robbers? How many of us still speak in tongues, yet again we are in cultists? I know many people that are still in cultists, they are also in the same fellowship with you. How many of us still speak in tongues, yet again we are masturbators, we are pornographers, yet again we sleep around, yet again we host ladies in our house? Let's tell ourselves the truth. This revival may not be for us to increase our speaking in tongues. It's to check our genuinity of our love for God, because iniquity is abounding. Devil is transcribing himself into us. Our DNA is being corrupted and we may not know. One day you wake up and discover you are backslide, not because you have stopped praying, but because your love for God has waxed cold. There is a restoration of the flame and the fire of God, not to increase your prayer grace again. No, it's to bring you closer to God, so that you can value the genuinity of the sacrifice of God upon your life in the working of Jesus as one who must love you. Because many of us are not even guaranteed of our love for God, neither our love towards Him. There is a revival coming, but before we speak about the revival, we must checkmate ourselves. No matter how desperate God is, He can never walk with a wrong person. A person that is wrong cannot walk with Him. It doesn't matter how gifted, how talented you are. I have seen many gifted and talented people. Let me tell you, one of the greatest strategies of the devil is to give you gift and talent and withhold the character. So you can see a man with gift and talent, yet again is a caricature. When you come close to him, he spell, he smell. How many of us are here? You have roommates, you are stealing their money, you are not telling them, and you are coming to fellowship together. Some of us just fought, we tear ourselves. I go break your head, I go scatter you. You wonder why you invite people for night fest, they will not come. It's because they have x-rayed your life. There is no reality of it. You only have a cliche of a program daily. So they say there is no need for it. So they will rather go to a club, because many of us may not be drinking in a club, but we are drinking in our room. You may not be smoking in a club, but you are smoking in your room. You may not have an office where you do prostitution in a hotel, but your room is a citadel of Satan. We are living in a time where pastors sleep with members. Fellowship head mess around with the people in the churches, and all of us are crying for revival. If the judgment will come, won't it come upon us first? You now see why God delayed it. The reason why God is delaying, because He wants to save us. Because when the iniquity is attacked, we are the first. So before we cry and say, God, bring judgment, let's evaluate ourselves first. Proud and arrogant people crying for God of heaven to come down, He will never come. So the first of all thing that God will do is to evaluate ourselves and checkmate us. When our heart posture is right, we don't need to cry so much, God will come. But let's be frank, when they look upon your class, the most greatest liar and the person that used to steal is you the most. The person that used to do expo more, now you they do more. Then why would the people take you serious? Why? So this is the reason why we need revival. The Lord asked me a question one time and I was shocked. Many years ago, the Lord appeared to me and said, Philip Cephas, a man I help is always better than a man that help himself. In my life, I can count the number of people that help me. Everybody I reach out to, they refuse me. It's as if I'm a Jonah. Anytime I appear, everybody run away. I follow men, beg them, help me, they refuse. I have to learn how to stand by myself. Learn how to fight for myself. And after a while, the Lord came, He said, I will help you. I understand Ebenezer, the stone of help. No matter what you tell me, I cannot doubt whether God loves me. I can't even doubt whether I love God, because my standpoint is not my prayer life. It's not even my wisdom. It's because genuinely I love God. And there is nothing that God can hide from a man that loves Him, because eyes have not seen, nor ears heard, neither has even come into the heart of Father the things which God has prepared for for those that love him. And let me tell you, part of that thing is your prayer grace. Part of that thing, I'm telling you, is your knowledge and wisdom in God. Many of us don't love God in our heart. You can rather speak in tongues and give excuse for all kinds of carnality. See, you can speak in tongues and still steal Papa phone now. I can carry this phone now. Tongues will not stop. But if you truly love God, as your hand is going there, the Holy Ghost will tell you, no, not today, not tomorrow. What I'm trying to let you understand, the revival we are looking for now may not necessarily be just to help us speak in tongues, but to evaluate our heart. Why? Because the sound comes to our heart first. The heart posture matters, my friend. It may look as though you may not understand what I'm saying, but I'm trying to let you understand that people are praying, people are fasting. But my friends, many people's heart is not really, truly genuine towards God.